dear colleagues. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here again after a long time and to see my good friend Joao. Thank you so much. So today I would like to enter in deep of three topics. So first of all, I would like to introduce some comments concerning the application of artificial intelligence in legal knowledge. So not legal document, but legal knowledge. And then I would like to enter in deep of legal XML and the legal semantics. And finally, I conclude with some concrete examples how Akoma Ntoso can achieve the transparency inside of the parliament. So better than any theory, I can produce some example use cases. So starting from this report that is very important by OECD, governing with artificial intelligence, you can see that the application in the public administration is growing rapidly, especially in the law enforcement and the justice. So one important topic, in my opinion, to improve the transparency for the parliament is include also the constitutional court information. Not limited to the Parliamentary Act, but to join also heterogeneous information coming from Supreme Court. So you know better than other how the Supreme Court can have impact on the bill, on the amendments, and on the quality of the legislation. And for the citizen, this interaction between institutions is not so clear. So this is a future, in my opinion, topic that the Parliament can take in care to explain to the citizen what happened in the dialogue between government, Parliament, and Supreme Court. And obviously, we assist frequently nowadays also to the misusage of AI. So you can see Brazilian city enacted an ordinance, use ChatGPT, but also in Italy start a lot of decision of the court, of the judge, condemned the creation of lawyer output using ChatGPT. And there is a topic that many of you already stressed concerning the language. There is unbalancing performance using some languages. You can see Portuguese is very little, and the English training set for the most important big tech in the market are predominant. So we need to invest, as Foti said, in AI factory with the public money, with the public and private partnership. And this is a novelty for many parliaments to use a private and public partnership. This is very important. And this is a matter of transparency as well, because without a good language quality, the chatbot, the generative AI can improve, can enlarge, not improve, the digital divide inside of the society. And so the previous talk from Angola stresses the point concerning the dialect, right? And also in Italy, we have some region like the province of Bolzan, where there are Latin and Ladin 1, Ladin 2, and German as official language. Another important trend is called the rule as a code. The rule as a code is a trend coming especially from the common law parliaments. And the idea, you can see, is to start from the policy, not from the legislation, but to start with the soft law documents. Is a very different approach to start with statistics, with soft reporting, and to reverse this material inside of machine learning, and to ask to the ChatGPT, for instance, to create a law. So from the statistic data, policy orientation, put everything in the chatbot or machine learning and generative AI and create the law. This report is very interesting. Is sorry, is problematic. So AI-powered rule as a code is a report conducted by Georgetown University with many other actors. It's very interesting because in this report, we can see 4 use cases. But the most important is the last one. They try to generate the law by Python. So starting with the policy, put in the policy and prompt inside of a ChatGPT-4, ask to the ChatGPT to create the Python codification of the policy, and finally, on the basis of 1, 2, 3 rounds, to have the law as an output. So this is a very strange approach for parliaments, and you can see the findings are not very good, as expected. So this is a very important research that please take a look. But the most important output is this one. Not the performance, because we are confident that the technology will improve very soon in the next year, on the 2 years. But the most important output of the report is that the AI try to manipulate the scientist, manipulate and convince of the robustness of the output against the argumentation of the human being. This is a very important risk that some of the previews said. Critical thinking is the most important part on which we need to invest, because we are confident that this kind of technology will improve, but in parallel, all the people involved inside of the parliament should develop a critical thinking. And again, let me say that agentic AI is coming. Sorry, it's difficult to manage. There is a delay. So, delay. I stop and wait. Okay, agentic AI is coming. So a complex task is fragmented in little tasks in sequential. But this report of MIT and additional also report from Yale, Princeton confirmed these. From this report, there is a percentage of persuasion from the AI higher respect to the normal argumentation in the human being conversation. So this is a topic to take in care, because like the deep fake that now we have a mix with the reality, in the future probably we have this part to take in care. So the manipulation and the persuasion. Let me give you a little story. 3 days ago, I changed my flight with the top company, and I phoned to the assistant. The assistant was a bot, and the bot asked me several inputs, and I answer, sorry, but my situation is too complex. I need to change it from Rome to Bologna. The flight is different. I need a human being. And the vocal assistant, the bot, say me, I'm not so smart for you, so you don't trust me? I'm shocked. And I say, no, I trust in you, but is my right by GDPR to have a human being for my decision? And the bot answer, but I can help you. Trust in me. I say, I want a human being. 3 times. I repeated in clear way, it's my right to have a human operator. And after all, the bot say me, wait a minute, and wait, and the bot said me, are you there? And yes, I say, oh, yes. So you are waiting? yes, I'm waiting. Please give me a person to talk. So I was quite shocked because I forced the bot in the conversation. So this is a risk that we need to take in care, especially if you want a bot in the communication between parliament and citizen. This is a problem, okay? And the European approach is quite different. The European approach is called the law as a code, starting from the law and to transfer the law in a codification using standard semantic web and also a dialogue between the AI and the human being. Like Joao said before, with a solid validation from human expert. And this is the approach of this. And probably you know that there is a big initiative in Europe called the Legal Data Space. And this intention is to create a large database of all the legal information annotated with a good quality in order to have a solid ground basis, gold standard to train the artificial intelligence. And what is the next? So the next is to build a legal data space. We need solid standards. And also to take in consideration that the annotation is not a plain text. We need semantics in this annotation. First of all, Grant said before, we need a structure of the document. Probably you know that the machine learning provide a chunk, so cut the text in little pieces without a connection. So obligation and penalties are far away in this chunk and not connected each other. So we need a standard capable to maintain the structure of the document. The context, jurisdiction, the hierarchy of the source, not all the texts are the same level, European level, international level, regional level. We need to train this kind of information, ontology, theory of law inside of the machine learning. And also another important pillar is the temporal information. So I asked to ChatGPT to give me the definition of food in the European legislation. And the ChatGPT returned me the original definition of 2009, when many other modifications happened, not recently, but in 2017. So why? ChatGPT neglected totally the temporality of the law. So we need something in the middle to mitigate this risk, including the references, a normative citation. In many articles, we have one line, and there is a C and the citation of the norms. For the ChatGPT or for the LLM, this sentence is nothing because it's too short to understand the meaning, and to delegate to the references a jump in another part of a document or in a different document. So we need to take in care all these kind of important parts in order to mitigate the risk that is evident. If you want to take some good books, this is a selection for you. It is quite nice, especially because come from expert of a digital constitutionalism is so-called the discipline. So not the engineers, but people that can understand the parliamentary environment. So the idea is to use AI, but not alone, but including ontologies, semantics, structure of a document called legal XML, and also workflow, because also the procedure inside of a parliament are so relevant. The legitimacy to put some action before others are relevant. And ChatGPT or LLM can understand the procedure, the sequence of the actions. I asked it to ChatGPT to consolidate a bill there is a paper is coming with amendments. And we have measured the similarity of the output, and the similarity of the output using embedding is quite good. What is the problem? Put in a different article. The structure. So the language is good and effective, but not in the correct article and not in the correct sequence. So the verb is reversed to the subject, and the complement becomes the subject. So for the embedding is a good result because it's similarity of the distance of the two vectors, but the structure is completely wrong. So we need to mitigate everything in this way. There is another problem that most of these generative AI create a black box, and for the transparency of the parliament is not acceptable at all. So the citizen need an explanation, the judge need a justification, and the civil servant an authorization is a pillar of the rule of the law. And for this reason, we can mitigate the black box using standards, open standards, semantic standards like Akoma Ntoso that track and annotate structure, justifications, and metadata of the legal knowledge and the legal thought of the legal people. And we use in our approach so-called hybrid AI. So we use symbolic AI, probabilistic AI, generative AI, but because we know perfectly the limits, any limits is mitigated by the other technologies. It's not a new thing. Hybrid AI exists in many disciplines, also in medicine, and it is quite usual in informatics to mitigate one technology with another. I give you some examples. You can find in this report made the last year for the European Commission some use cases. Is downloadable in the portal of the European Commission. And also this year, we have prepared a new one with other use cases. One dedicated to the legal definitions, start with annotation in Akoma Ntoso, moving to embedding and create a clustering of definition, but also to help people to retrieve the correct definition during the bill. So during my creation of the bill, I'm curious to understand in Europe, what is the definition of food? What is the definition inside of a legislation of FIO or WHO? And I want to integrate the definition in my bill, similar to the normative references and similar to obligation. I wanted to understand the obligation in order to see the penalties and the derogation. We use Akoma Ntoso, embedding, knowledge graph, and also LLM. But LLM is the last step. Before I needed to create a data set, clear, annotated, validated by human, and with legal knowledge in middle. And just for concluding, I would like to say that Akoma Ntoso help heterogeneous document to have a dialogue each other. We have a database for the Chamber of Deputies testing of Italy with Italian law, European law, Constitutional Court, bill, and other judgments. Interoperability between institutions, data curation, explicability in case of I want to know the provenance of some definition. I can detect, it's not just a chunk. I combine legal XML with a semantic web. Akoma Ntoso is good also for accountability and also monitoring the policy, visualization, and also help a lot with the multilingual databases. We have databases with the WHO, United Nations, 6 languages, very complicated, like Russian, Arabic, and Chinese. And using Akoma Ntoso, we are capable to connect a fragment of the legislation in multi-language, and also to address different audience. I give you some example. This is a portal of a Parliament of Albania, totally in Akoma Ntoso. And you can see that using Akoma Ntoso, I'm able to show the network of references and the references of references, modification of a modification, and also annulment by the Constitutional Court. I present the modification inside of a page and clicking in navigation, the previous document and the modifiers. I can compare two versions from a previous one and the current one, and I underline the new parts and the substitution. This is an old project for Uruguay that applied the similar structures. And this is a consolidation. We are now using LLM to help the consolidation, but with the RAG in order to mitigate the hallucination, and with a comparison with the structure of Akoma Ntoso. This is a very valuable part of Akoma Ntoso. It is possible to connect two versions, linguistically speaking, even if the structure is different. In Arabic, you see, you use a point list in Arabic, and in the other language in Latin, and right to left, left to right. And in this way, I can detect easily the connection between two languages and to compare. This is an output of Akoma Ntoso, very similar to Joao analysis, using Akoma Ntoso and clustering, machine learning applied to the clustering. I can visualize for the citizen all the legal system divided by topic. This is a Chamber of Deputies clustering in order to understand if the bill coming from two parties talking about the same happen. The two opposite parties, the majority and the minority, submit two bills, apparently very different, but in the main principle are the same. And this is a tool for detecting similarity between the bill. This is a very new part of our work. We are calculating the index of probable unconstitutionality of the bill. I know that the Supreme Court sometimes intervene in Brazil to block a bill or a law, and these avoid to, let me say, go ahead in the bill that has a serious part of the inconstitutionality. Obviously, it's a political choice, but in this way, the offices can provide some alert to the political bodies in order to test if it is a choice or it is a mistake. This is architecture. You can see we have many, many materials in Akoma Ntoso. Judgment, motivation, abstract of a judge, jurisprudence from the professors, and bill and constitution. And using this kind of structure, we can create explicability index by index why the system suggests that there is a dangerous probability to have an unconstitutionality bill. It's not only a number, there is all the explanation. This is a graph of the explanation. There is in red the Constitutional Court sent a decision that affect the law, but the bill is connected with the law that was, let me say, classified by the Constitutional Court as unconstitutional, and there is a modification of the unconstitutional law. And if the graph is not consistent, this is one of the signal why we put the alert and raise the hand and say, probably this bill has some problem. Also, this is very interesting, is made for Albania Parliament. You know that Albania would like to enter in Europe, And one of the most important homework is to prepare law close to the acquis communautaire and to have a overlapping with the main regulation. So this is a tool. Everything is converted in Akoma Ntoso, and we create the similarity in order to match Albanian law with the European legislation. So the Article 14 is linked semantically with the Article 25. And so it's a good tool for the Parliament to achieve the goal to have a legislation close to the acquis communautaire. And finally, monitoring the policy. This is very nice. We made a tool that check if the policy of sustainable development goals like climate change is implemented really inside of European legislation. Spoiler, is not, because the most closer is in the justice and crime and immigrants. Now we are this focus, and the food and the climate change, even if there is a declaration to have a great attention, is not reflected inside of the legislation. So this is good to understand if really the legislation met the policy. This is the last, and this is under construction. This is a portal. In the middle, you have a bill in Akoma Ntoso. In this part, we have the chat of the people. It's not a chat, but it's a portal in a guardrail situation, let me say. And in the other opposite, there is the aggregation, pros and cons, and connected with the article. So this is a transparency, because at the end, you can say, okay, the lobby number 1 and the association number 2 made an intervention in the bill article number 32 and create a difference inside of a final law. So this is under construction. It's totally based on Akoma Ntoso and LLM, but with the principle that I explained, with a lot of mitigation of the risk. Thank you so much for your attention. And this is a final booklet that we have made the last Friday for the Vice President of the Chamber of Deputies of Italy, because we received an award from the Chamber as the best project of the year in artificial intelligence for Parliament in Italy. And this is a booklet you can download. It's in Italian, but with the ChatGPT we can translate. If you trust. Thank you so much.